Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be? Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.
What's up, everybody? It's another Tuesday night, Jus Riffin. I'm one of your co-hosts, Hafner. I got Cookie Rabinowitz with me. We have an awesome guest. We're also powered by Rug Radio. Sometimes I forget to mention that, but we are powered by Rug Radio. And we have a great guest tonight. So glad that we're able to have a conversation with her. It's Betty from Deadfellaz and Coldlink. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk everything Deadfellaz. We're going to talk Coldlink, what's going on new with the tech and what she's building over there, and music as well. So, we're going to get into it. Cookie, how was your week? What's going on with you? I like your laid back approach.
It was just by chance this way. And but I got to say, I might have to set it up this way forever, because usually I stand, and this is way
nothing wrong with standing, man, but it's good though. You're chilling out now, you're relaxed, you know.
For sure, I feel like I should get some shiatsu happening or something. I don't know.
Get a little massage while you're doing the show behind you. So what's been going on with you this week? Anything exciting that you can share with us on the progress of your music making?
Yes, it's a fun journey with it. It's, like I said, it's involving some different technology that we've all been using as of recently, and I just had a lot of fun recording. I want to say this. So usually I have a band I play with, and they're all super talented and amazing, but it's hard to organize people and move fast sometimes. And even though I don't necessarily think it would be better for them to do it, but I like leaning on them. But I decided this time to do everything myself, and it's not out of narcissism, it's out of panic to get shit done, because so I'm hoping for the best, but at the same time it's pretty cool, because I think it's an opportunity for me to really, even though I write all the songs in the past, the production has been done collectively, and I'm doing all the producing myself this time. So I think it's a clear representation of myself, and I don't, once again, not in a narcissistic kind of way, but I think it's a little more vulnerable for me. So it's exciting for me to put it out and see if people like it, or if they don't. And I'm just excited. I'm really excited to release some stuff,
I think it's great. Look, we all have, sometimes you just got to get it done. That whole thing, like if you wait for someone to do it for you, it's never going to happen. You got to get it done. You got to do it. I think that's mighty noble of you, one, just stepping up and taking the reins on your own, destiny with the project itself. Nothing wrong with that at all. And I think people are going to love it. You're a great musician. So I don't see anybody, balking at that, so you're good to go.
I want to add something show related to that the whole process though. So usually I'll track the instruments myself, but there's this amazing guy that he also plays with me in the live band, and he's an amazing producer and engineer, but he's a legitimate engineer. Like he's just great. He knows it. I know nothing about engineering as far as mixing goes and everything. I just kind of do it by ear.
Mm-hmm.
And with here, I'm going to mention it for our 80,000th time today, but ChatGPT, it's like, I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll be like, okay, I this vocal, and it's mixed with like a dirty electric guitar, and then a little bit of Fender Rhodes in there, and then like a slap bass. I need the perfect vocal treatment. And these are the plugins I have for Ableton Live, and it'll spit a whole chain for that track. And I don't use it to the T, but it'll be like, okay, try this reverb setting, try this compression, try this, maybe a little slap back delay, but it'll give me options that I don't have to choose. But since, like I said, I don't consider myself a legitimate engineer. Rolling off the 2K and all that shit, I don't know those numbers, what they do. I just turn knobs until it sounds all right.
That's all megahertz that they're dealing with, in the sense of sound and dBs, because they're knowing where to max certain things. You want to, from what I know, and from I guess my knowledge in it, from my memory, is that you want to max, you want to red line without distorting. right? So you want to push it as high as you can, especially on the bass side of things. Now for your music is going to be a little bit different because that's how your ear is. I particularly don't see anything wrong, because I think the average person that's listening to the radio or listening to music anywhere, whether it's an MP3 or anything, they're really not going to notice the difference. It's so I don't know. You got to be like only the engineers mastering, mixing, maybe musicians themselves are going to hear that. It's like sometimes when you're playing live and you hit a wrong note, you really know that you hit that wrong note. For the most of the 95% of the people in the audience, maybe 98% of the people aren't going to realize you hit a bad note or someone sang out of key for a second. No one's, but the musicians and the masterings, engineers will, for sure.
Sometimes they don't know if what you do it with intention. Like if you fuck up, like own that shit, luckily I've been up all my life, so I'm really good at owning it. But, I mean, that's and then one other thing with that, I saw this and I wish I knew the guy's name, because when I'm driving home from work late night, I'll just throw on random YouTube stuff and listen to it. And this guy, he was like some kind of creative, whatever, and he was had some super good ideas. But one thing he said that I'm leaning on doing these recordings is he said, when you're putting out a body of work, like not just a single, like challenge yourself, to get rid of the optionitis and do it like they did back in the day. Like, you don't have to have 80 different electronic drum sounds. You don't have to have like all these different bass tones, all these different guitar tones. Like pick one thing for each, one or two things for each, and then ride out the whole process with just those things. And I think that was really great advice, because not only does it save you time, because instead of how you get start tweaking and looking for all these sounds and you end up not writing any music.
You get lost in the sauce, cuz.
Exactly. But not only that, I think it helps an artist really hammer down the specific story they're trying to tell for that body of work. Like, in other words, it's not diluting it. Like you can do the market by dropping all these different, whatever. And, but it's like with different sounds, you can kind of dilute your style. Like just kind of find your style for the moment and ride that out. And then maybe next time around, do something different. But I like that approach, and I'm taking it. I heard that video, I watched it, or I didn't watch it, I was driving. But I'm like, that's what I'm doing this time around. I'm going to stick with like just, a global kind of sound, global setting.
You mentioned a key point in there too, is that we mentioned this before. We spoke about it. It's the songwriting process and the creation of a song. It's not easy. It's difficult because, like you said, you start tweaking different things, especially when you're working by yourself. And if you're smoking a little bit, you're going to get really, really lost. And then you end up never finishing the song. You move to something else, and then you go, like, I'm going to get back to it. And then you eventually never get back to it. So I really think that the songwriting and arrangement and producing of the song itself from beginning to end is just really one of the most hardest things for anybody to do. Now, I don't know how that is, and we'll ask Betty on the art side. And also she, with Coldlink too, because, you come up with ideas. It could be anything, right? And the hardest thing is to follow through with those ideas, just to go through with it. A lot of people don't. I think it's a great thing that if you have an idea, run with it. Don't let anybody tell you any different. If you fail fast, figure out what you did wrong, fix it, and move on, or just move on altogether. But at least you tried, you did it, and you accomplished something by completing it, right? Whether it won or it lost, it doesn't matter. So, but I wonder what that's like on the art side. You start a drawing, and then you're like, how many? I want to know how many scraps did she go through, if she did, with Deadfellaz. So that's interesting to me, because we're on the music side of things. So, yeah.
I want to add a couple things to that too. Well, first off, I fail fast. I think I understand that statement. I think it's cool, but I think if you enjoy what you're doing, fail slow. Like keep failing all your life. You don't have to win at it.
Just do it is the point, really.
And then also what you were saying about working by yourself. This is interesting, and it might be a little weird thing, but with all the technology we have now, it's so much it's you're able to do things yourself, which is awesome. But there's still little things, and even though there's tools and there's you can use controllers and stuff, but just simple little things like when you're cutting a vocal track, just having to be like, okay, you cut the track and then you want to do another take and then just going and push in the record, stuff like that. When you have an engineer there, that process goes by so much quicker because it's like boom, boom. But like,
you
okay,
you tell them what you want, right? You just kind of be like,
Not only that, it's like you're both in the room. So like, if you're doing a track and it's time to do the next one, you just keep it moving. Where when you're one person, you have to stop and you have to go.
Yep.
Set up the track and you do all that.
Not efficient.
Streamline this. Nothing is as streamlined as working with a bunch of people that are working together on the same project. Like no technology in the world is ever going to make that better. I mean,
no AI, will make it better.
Yeah, and I don't want to say make it better, but it won't be the same as that because we know we get a lot of great benefits from using AI and all that.
Actually, speaking of that, let me ask you this question. I know this is such a far-fetched thing, but do you think that that AI will be able to replace a sound engineer because they can program the AI to have that perfect pitch? Do you think that's even?
Hey, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I've been saving that one for like ever since AI has been the thing. Anyway, but I don't think I think it's not replacing them, but and it's funny, I just had a conversation about this, and I'll make it quick. I'm sorry, I don't have time. But it's not going to replace them, but however, unfortunately, people that don't have the ways and means to use another engineer, they have to use these tools. And so it's kind of not, it's just by necessity. You can't always hire an engineer, even though it's a shame to say, but engineers that are worth way more are like, going out and engineering $30 an hour now. And that's a shame. And this is just the way progress of technology happens. And we'll find balance with it. And the good ones always find a way to maneuver through it. But it's still kind of sad too, because I know a lot of guys that have been in the game a while, and they're kind of like, whoa. About 10 years ago, a company called Lander started, and they made it so you could upload a track, right? And it would master it for you. So you mixed the track, but normally back in the day, and like, it could be if it was a real mastering engineer, you could spend almost $500 a track sometime to get a track mastered per song, per track.
That's just you're talking about for mastering. That's not the mixing engineer. Okay, go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you.
So, and you know what? And there was a couple guys that did everybody's records. There was this one guy, Bob Ludwig. Like everybody, whoever was putting out albums, whether it was like some big high profile band or even if it was like a mid-sized band, because that guy had the gear. And back then you needed all big expensive hardware gear, these like tube compressors and racks of really cool shit.
Yeah.
And now there's racks of really cool shit, as you know, and I know, and probably if anybody's listening to us knows, they're virtual racks of shit on your computer desktop. And you know what? They sound, I don't want to say like they sound just as good in a different way.
Yeah. And takes up no space at all, no rack space. Yeah, dude. When I was for the Far Side's Far Side Bizarre Ride to the Far Side album, Lab Cabin, California. So when I was working with Mike Ross at Delicious Vinyl, we went. I had the 2-inch Ampex reels, 24 track tapes. We had to take them to Universal Music Studios. The real shit. The Universal Music Group was incredible in there. They had we were in a different room to put the reel-to-reel on. And then we transferred everything to Pro Tools. And then in the mastering room, they had all of the racks. He had so many racks. Guy could barely move in the room itself, And the process itself was just really, truly amazing. Now, we wouldn't remix from the reel to reel, just didn't make any sense. So we transferred everything into Pro Tools and then did the stuff there, which was awesome because we were able to do a lot of things that we couldn't do, and we could remaster that album. And we did a lot of cool stuff, and we did an instrumental album too for both of them that wasn't even released. I wanted to do the acapellas, but we didn't get there with that project. But my point there, what it is that there were so many racks in there and so much equipment and everything. I'm sure that they're not that they went virtual. I'm almost positive. Plus, it saves money, on rent.
For sure. And
For real.
with that, all the big studios, they're, I don't want to say all, but pretty much all of them don't exist anymore.
Yeah. I was
Huge ones.
surprised. Seriously, I was surprised that they had the 2-inch 24 track. And check this out, because the tapes were sitting so long in storage, we literally had to cook the tape inside of a toaster oven on low, and we had to cook it overnight. And I thought the guy was fucking bullshitting. I'm like, dude, do you understand? This is only one of a kind here. Of the we had different reels, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about cooking the tapes?
That's a pretty big record too, man, to be fucking with.
Yeah.
Those are pretty valuable. I mean, and I'm not talking strictly financially. I'm just talking.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, that's the only one in existence. Imagine if the guy's like, oh, I made a mistake. It was supposed to be in the microwave. I'm kidding, man. But all in all, like, I just couldn't believe it. And he was 100% right. But when he was explaining it to me, why? It's because if you've put those tapes, because they've been sitting so long, the tape itself, if you put it on the machine, it's gonna stretch it out. And then you're gonna mess the recording up. And you can't get that back. So when you cook the tape, it shrinks it back to normal. So when you put it in the machine, it has, you can't hear there's no sound difference, no dragging, no stretching. Like, can you imagine? You're like, the song is like, now in my younger days, I used to afford a shag, right? But then when you didn't cook the tape, it would be like, can you imagine that? And you can't get that back. Oh my gosh. Talking about wanting to jump off a bridge somewhere. So yeah, I mean, look, music, I think you're right. And, virtual is the way to go. That's 100%. And I do somewhat think that these guys are using AI anyway. I think they're using it like you're using ChatGPT. I use it. I think these sound engineers, I think these mixing engineers are using them too. Yeah.
I mean, it's just another source of information. You can do with it whatever you want, but it's nice to have another source of information there. And
Jus Riffin. By the way, Michael Fuller is next door. Mike Fuller, he's an amazing mixing engineer, and I don't know, man. I just haven't walked over there and knocked on his door and asked him if he wanted to be a guest on the show. I do want to bring him on the show because we haven't had a mastering engineer, and we do talk about it from time to time. And I think it would be great, for anybody that listens to the show that's wanting to understand a little bit more on how things get from one step to the next in the process of recording. And I'm going to reach out to him. I'm going to see if we can get him on the show. That'd
be really cool.
And I know you'll have some cool questions.
Well, I just want to sum that whole bit we just talked about with when this Lander company came out. They were the first ones offering this online mastering using machine learning. And this was, like I said, it was well over 10 years ago. But the funny thing is, it's like you would send your stuff or go to a mastering studio to get your stuff mastered. You'd pay all this money and they'd have all this cool outboard gear. But then they had this company, Lander, figured out this machine learning process of doing it all. And you would literally send them your track and they would send it back. And they gave you like 10 tracks for free or whatever when they were first out the gate, to get people know about it. But even they're probably still up and around now. And I think it's something like, I don't know, like $1 a song. Like, so if you get could you finish your mixing your song? And then if you want it like for radio, or all the different mastering there's different mastering for like radios, there's different mastering for Spotify, for iTunes, for vinyl. There's a very specific kind of mastering. So it's like, it's just
the mastering for vinyl is insane when they're cutting. So Mike Fuller, the neighbor, he when I was a kid, I used to run over to Mike to get the lacquers, the mothers, the stampers, to get everything cut. And it was incredible the way it was made with the vinyl being smushed and the metal plates, the mothers and the stampers. It was just the process itself was insane. There's very few people doing this anymore.
For sure. Third, what are they called? Third Records. Dude from White Stripes, he started his own pressing company, and they put out some really cool shit, like really good looking. Awesome. What's his name? Black John.
From the White Stripes.
Jack,
I don't
Jack
remember
White.
his name. Huh?
I know it's a music show, and I don't know anybody's names. I'm fired, but I believe it's Jack, it's Jack White, and I think
Jack
they were
White.
and they're called Third Records. But he did a whole vinyl thing, and he did it legit. It's very meticulous. He holds that integrity of the old school stuff, very sacred to him.
Vintage and like authentic. You're 100% right. Yeah. Not trying to do the flip flop. But all right. So speaking of flip flop, let's flip flop the show. Let's get into it with our lovely special guest. We got Betty from Deadfellaz and Coldlink. Betty, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to finally have you here. And we've been around since 2021, so we know Deadfellaz. Coldlink is new, but how you doing? How's life with you?
I'm doing good. Yeah. My car broke down this morning, so that was a bit shit. I had a bit of a shit week last week, but I'm good this week.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us. What was that, Cookie?
I said we caught her on a good week. That's awesome.
Caught you on a good week. That's right. But yeah, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight on the show. I wanted to talk about before we get into Deadfellaz and before we get into art and everything else, tech and music. I want to know before Deadfellaz, before 2021, because I had never heard of you prior to that. No offense. I mean, there's so many people I've never heard of in the space, right? So 2021 was really an eye-opening thing for me because I love art and I really dug Deadfellaz. I was a little too late money-wise to get into the project. Because it was already like over here when I was over here money-wise, but I really love the art because it's so like consistent, it's solid, and the colors and the idea behind it really, really cool. But before the Deadfellaz project, what were you doing? What was your life like?
So we were still in art. When I say we, I mean me and Syke, who is my co-founder and husband. So we created Deadfellaz together. We were running like full stack creative agencies before Deadfellaz. So when we started in the space, it was as a direct result of a pivot that we had to take professionally because of COVID. So the COVID lockdown basically just decimated everything for us. Like all of our work was really high scale developments based on IRL events. And of course, COVID just got rid of everything. So there was like no Olympics, no Masters, like nothing. Everything was gone. So we were a bit fucked. We had to change. Syke was always a digital artist for many years, and we've been involved in that space for ever since I was a teenager and he was a teenager. And now I'm 35, so it's been a while. And some artists that we knew basically introduced us to NFTs and Web3, and I just became obsessed. He became obsessed. We were in lockdown with 3 kids, listening to Clubhouse and learning as much as we could. And logged into Twitter one day, never had an account before, made an account, never logged out since. So literally thousands of tweets. It's become a problem. But just logged in, never logged out. So there you go.
That's awesome. So so you get into NFTs. I mean, and all for good reasons. I mean, the art and it was the perfect time, right? You were just chilling, really, pretty much. I mean, all of us were chilling during that time. Somewhat.
We were not chilling. I would not say we were chilling. It was a crisis.
It was a real crisis. Heavy.
Yeah. 3 kids, we've got a house, it was wild. So we needed to pivot into something else. And so that was the something else. I had worked a lot in community as well, aside from the creative stuff, organizing mutual aid and, everything really, events and all sorts of stuff. And I was just really sick of working within systems that just felt so broken across all spectrums of everything that I was doing, whether it was in the community or whether it was, on a large scale creative installation or anything. It just all felt so broken and so undervalued and wrong. And I had studied a lot in psychology and the ideation around sense of self and place and community and how that is found online and, the different iterations of web and what that meant. And so I had been thinking about what that could possibly turn into years ago. And then when I discovered that it was actually, being pushed forward into this like new realm of possibilities with blockchain tech, I was just completely obsessed, couldn't get enough, and never left. I just saw it as like an answer to potentially so many problems. So
and you're pretty much in control of what you want to do anyway with it. It gives you that freedom as well to create and do whatever you want, and there is a space here. So all right, so how does Deadfellaz how did you guys create it? Like, what was the thought process behind that? Like, what made you choose this character opposed to anything else that was in your imaginations?
Yeah, so Deadfellaz, it was just like a bolt of lightning, fully formed idea right into the brain. What had happened was I was watching all of these different communities pop up, and I was really enamored with the whole identity thing people were doing online. And I wanted to be involved, but I didn't see anything that I wanted to use a profile picture or anything like that. Even though I thought it was cool, I didn't want it. So I thought, well, other people must feel this way, especially women, because up to that point, like the stereotypical traits that women were given were just like makeup or like a bow or like, like whatever. So I wanted to create something that had like a full spectrum of gender represented, so that anyone could go to the collection and find themselves within it. And I thought it would be a really cool thing to just inject everything that Psych and I really love. And that was Deadfellaz. We are, avid horror fans. You can see the inspirations in the traits. A lot of the traits are very unique compared to what was released prior to that, because we did not follow what was just typically done. We were just following, you can see like Kurt Cobain's glasses and like mullets from like my favorite drag queen, and all kinds of different things like that. Like there's like nods to so many different things. Gorillaz, Scott Pilgrim, Daria, Doug, like really pulling inspiration from that like 90s animation kind of grungy, really inspired by music and fashion vibe. And Deadfellaz was born, and people really resonated with it. The rest is history.
Yeah, it's very cool. And like itself, it's like it brings me to like this like Monster Mash. It like Addams Family, like I have say like nostalgia, like it has that, to me, it has that nostalgia feel to it when I look at the Deadfellaz, the project itself. And I love that about it. I think it's really, really cool, and it is unique. When you guys got finally the ideas and the art was going, how did you figure to do generative, and how did you know to go down these avenues? How did those steps get taken?
So there's been a few comments recently on what we're able to do as founders and creators of a PFP project. But I think that people would be quite shocked at what we're able to do. Just Psych and I, like, we are technical founders. We're able to do a lot of the things that you see ourselves, and we do most of it ourselves. So we literally just did the whole thing.
You wrote the contracts and everything.
Though the contract was, we worked with a punk 9999 who helped us with that, and we were basically supported by that connection came through the support of the CryptoPunks community prior to Deadfellaz, which they were giving Psych a lot of design work. So he was designing a lot of the branding around some of the events that they were hosting in Crypto Voxels, like early on,
cool.
6 and all that. And so through that, we got the connection to be able to have someone help us with the smart contract and everything. Obviously, since then, we're able to do a lot of that ourselves now. But back then, that was what it was. So it was just like a really scrappy situation. I was like, this has to be ready for Friday the 13th. There's no if ands, or buts. Like, it has to happen. At one point, they were like, it's not going to be ready. And I was like, it's going to have to be, guys. Like, there's nothing, no other option.
What was the holdup though? What were they saying that why wouldn't it be? What excuse were they giving?
We were just worried about the gen. We were worried about the gen, at the perfection of everything, like making sure everything was absolutely perfect. And we're actually doing quality control right now on the Ghost machine gen that we're doing. But it was just that, but everything was perfect because we had hand created everything. Everything is like beautiful vector art by Psych, and in terms of getting to the character and knowing that that's what we wanted, I could see what I wanted the base character to be like before. And because Syke and I have worked together for so long, we know each other so well. It only took a little while for him to just get that base character down. And I just knew it was so special. As soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it. That's it. We just need to make the traits. That's amazing.
How many iterations did you of the characters themselves, or the started character? How many did you go through? Was it just wow, that's amazing?
Yeah, it was, the first one was the most horrific thing you've ever seen in your life. Like, it was so disgusting. It was so bad. I was like, oh my God, my heart was broken. I was like, no, I don't think this is going to work. And then, you know, tweak this, tweak that. And he got it immediately. And it was like, yeah, it was so great.
You knew right away. It's like the perfect song. You know, when you hit that J6, you know what I'm saying? Same with the art. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really exciting. It was an exciting time. And
now the community, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Go ahead.
No, just that feeling of creation with the community, like other people being excited about what we were doing was really cool, and remains cool, obviously. Yeah.
So now you get this project. Now, when you started, let's back up just for a second and thought you get this whole thing going. What was the thought behind Deadfellaz itself? Like, where did you know, the art is done in your mind and you're like, okay, now we're going to market. We're going to, what are we doing now? What do? We just sell the art and then the people just sit around and twiddle their thumbs. Like, what do we do with this? Do we create an animated series? Do we, I don't know. What do we do with this stuff? So what was your thought process there?
I think that was the question everybody had on their minds when they were creating these projects. And I honestly think that many people made these things without actually thinking that anything was going to be after the launch, you know?
Yeah.
But having worked in the creative industry, of course, we knew that when you create something like that's the starting point. So in terms of a roadmap, we had like a really simple roadmap to start, like everyone did.
Sure.
But in the back of our minds, it was always like, this is a character brand and we want to create cool things around it. Gaming has always been a really big part of you know, my youth and Syke's like whole life. Still massive gamer.
That's great.
And so we had always wanted to apply like gaming ecosystems to what we were doing. But yeah, animated shows and clothes and just playing around with how we could build out a world that felt immersive and new, utilizing the tech that is available and just being really experimental. I think the experimental part of things, I think, got lost, not only with us, but with everyone, because of, you know, the lack of, not just the lack of resources, but the lack of like fun that was happening in the space. I think a lot of that died in the bear because the enthusiasm was no longer there for a lot of people. And so, you know, despite that, a lot of teams have continued building, us included. But now I do feel that energy kind of coming back. It feels exciting to release things into that environment again. Really cool.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, you know, a lot of times with the NFT projects, you know, going back to early, you know, just 2021, is that people expected, I really believe that they just wanted to make a bag. And they thought, okay, this is going to be an easy way for me to get in and flip. Now, a lot of people did. And then a lot of people got left with the bag because they really just love the art. And, you know, felt sad. You know, there was some projects that I was in that I really liked and they just rugged, you know, just this story of NFTs, early NFTs. But so, yeah, so that's why I think people got discouraged by NFTs and they went into the toilet for a little while. And you're starting to see now companies here, I mean, Abstract Chain, you know, Luca Nets with Pudgy Penguins, and Abstract Chain just signed a huge thing with Formula One racing, Red Bull, right? So now you're starting to see companies are now more and more getting involved, and then they're attaching their NFTs or their whatever to the projects, and there's some substance behind it. So it makes the consumer a little bit easier, you know, I guess easier to digest now, knowing that there's a major company behind it and not somebody behind, you know, drawing something in Procreate just to sell, just so you're going to spend ETH and he's going to take off and you'll never hear from him again.
So I think early on, it was kind of easy to be able to differentiate who was putting in the effort and who wasn't as artists. Like if you were creative, if you were in that world, you could easily see the level of effort that was put into the collection. And so it was that was what I used to like, decide what I was going to buy. And I think a lot of artists and creators did identify that effort in Deadfellaz and like knew that, we weren't just going to like, we were actually creating something. It wasn't like Fiverr artist and just like to make a bag and then leave.
Right.
I think it's just such a gray area at the moment, looking at like what's happened over the last year, 18 months with a lot of these brands, because like realistically they didn't have enough time to create revenue for themselves. Whereas a lot of the earlier projects, with the royalties, the amount that they were earning, they were able to get like crazy valuations and then raise on those crazy valuations.
Yeah.
It gave them runway so they could, stay. That was completely decimated, obviously. And so a lot of the companies never even had a chance, I think. So there's like True Rugs, where they like, made a bag and off, and then Slow Rugs, where maybe they didn't have a plan, and then like people that just didn't have a choice but to leave, and then everyone else that's left. And I think there's going to be a lot of new people popping up now, which is exciting.
Yeah. And then there's, I think, you're right too. There's the core of the builders that are still here, right? Like you, for instance, Rug Radio, Myriad Destan, that whole company, Luca's company, and many others that are still from that time that are still here building and still trying to do something on the positive note. You're still going to get those weird, grifty kind of people weaving in and out, still trying. But I think as time goes on, the holes get tighter and tighter and tighter, and you're really seeing the true builders that are here, like yourself. Leads me, which I want to move away from Deadfellaz.
Okay.
You have since moved away from Deadfellaz as well. Is that correct?
No. No. That's all I do every day, all day and night. No. So in terms of like how I spend my time, DFZ is like, it's right now, it's Deadfellaz and everything that we've got going on into there, and it's Coldlink. And those things are so intertwined because we literally created Coldlink to solve problems of our own that we had that couldn't be solved elsewhere,
That's
so
great.
while we talk about Coldlink, it was not created as like a separate company because we wanted to make a separate company. It was literally a solution that we made for ourselves that we realized everyone else could use.
Yeah. I want to pass it to Cookie. Go ahead, Cookie.
Oh, thanks. But for sure, what you're saying, that really interests me, because the certain communities and NFT projects that I've been a part of always get really frustrated when there's a way to interact, but then it's like, but wait, I have them in my special thing. I don't even want to touch that thing. It's off somewhere else, because that's how much I love the project. But now I got to go figure out how to get it and how to connect it without losing all my shit. And then here that you've built, that's really exciting. This is what you got. Coldlink is correct. It's a way to connect a different source. So I think that's amazing. And I really love the fact that you said it was an answer to your own situation, because the Deadfellaz community, I mean, a lot of people really are engaged. I know one of the Rug Radio guys, Dido, he would always in the Zoom meetings, he would actually have the virtual Deadfellow, as his son. It was really cool. But I'd love to hear more about how this works. So I know there was a company, Token Proof, that was doing something for a while, but then, and it was cool. I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but is this a similar type of?
Sort of. There's nothing really that exists like this. So there's similar companies that do similar things. So like Delegate, for example, is a really great solution if that's the way that you want to go. However, it is limited to what chains you can use. You have to go in and like remove the delegation. It costs the amount that it costs gas. You have to interact with smart contracts. There's like a bunch of limitations that led our community, from what we saw from their behavior, not want to use those solutions. And of course, with all of the things that we're developing, especially in gaming, especially in Web 2 platforms, and cross-chain and everything, and with the proliferation of so many L1s, L2s, like, God, it just goes on. It's like, well, how do you facilitate people moving around freely? How do we allow people to remove the hurdles? Because it doesn't matter whether you've got a PFP worth $200,000. If it's worth $25 and you've used it for your identity for the last 2-3 years, you don't want to lose it. Like, you don't want to lose it. because you might never get it back. And then, you know, there's so much value on there that's not money that you couldn't really place a price on it. So yeah, we were noticing the same thing. People just didn't want to interact with stuff. It's like, who the fuck is going to want to delegate to get like free shipping on something, or like, you know, register for like a breakfast? Like, people just don't want to do that. And so we're missing out on so much engagement, participation from communities across the whole spectrum. So yeah, Coldlink is essentially like a completely wallet agnostic, chain agnostic verification tool. So it allows you to have like anything that you have in your wallets or any on-chain activity recognized in any environment. So you can cold link literally any wallet to anything. And when I say anything, I mean like you can cold link to any other wallet on any other chain, but you can also cold link to like your Telegram username, Discord, like your Twitch username, Steam, Roblox, like everything is possible. And so what we're doing is just slowly adding in like more endpoints, so that it's like gradually expanding the possibilities and facilitation of these links. But yeah, it's no smart contract interaction, no blind signing, absolutely like the most air-gapped solution there possibly is. And it's very exciting because it just pulls down every wall that exists. Like we're creating a Roblox game, for example. It's nearly ready. Very exciting. How do you like reward your collectors in Roblox? You can't. Whereas now with Coldlink, you can cold link your wallet to your Roblox username, and I can see who's a Deadfellaz holder and reward them accordingly in game, which is, you know, it's so crazy. It's so exciting.
I love this. And I'm curious to how small or large of companies do you work with to kind of that like if somebody wanted to utilize this technology, how is it, you know, is it strictly big companies you're working with, or are you working with smaller upstarts too?
Everyone from individual artists up to like the largest companies that you can think of. Like the integration process is really easy. And we're in the process of releasing tools so that people, like say an artist wants to just basically put together an allow list system that is completely safe and simple and, you know, automated to a point. This tool that we're releasing will be able to allow them to do that. So they don't need any technical information. It's sort of like how Manifold lets you do so much stuff yourself in, you know, completely self-sovereign way and own it. It's the same thing. You know, you'd be able to cold link to your Discord username and automatically just receive the roles that you're given based on your holdings in each of the servers. You don't have to keep like going in and out and like putting things here and putting things there, connected, none of that. So it just simplifies everything. And the solution itself is so simple that there has been criticism from a lot of people that are like working in that space already, because it's like, I think that sometimes we over complicate things and we want to, you know, show how much we're capable of and how much we can bend the tech and stuff. But sometimes it doesn't need to be like that. Like the simple solution, the most obvious solution is sometimes the solution. And that's what this is.
For sure. I'm with that 100% because I'm actually just a pretty simple person, you know? So, but, and going back to Delegate, you know, and all these other companies like Token Proofs, their thing worked pretty good, and Delegate kind of works. But I'm really anxious to try what you've built, because I've been in the space a while, and like I said before, I am a little slow, but I do have issues when I have to do this stuff. Like, and it's frustrating, and you know, it's also counterintuitive, because on one end, it's like exactly what you said. It's not always about the money either. It's just you get attached to certain things, you know, in your wallet. And on one end, you're going to collect something that you're getting for having this thing. But in order for you to engage, you have to say, well, but I don't like it enough to put it at risk.
Yeah,
so it's like,
exactly.
Yeah, it's counterintuitive, you know?
And it's like the return on investment and the risk that you have to take has to be worth it. So like if say you're a CryptoPunks holder and you're like, okay, do I want to connect my wallet to like claim this, even if it's a crazy thing from say Tiffany's, for example, let's use that. Do I want to risk it? maybe not, not me personally. No, I would never. And I don't connect to anything, or I try not to. And now you can, engage anyone for any level of reward, whether it's like, Psych says like you can cold link a Fidenza to get a free hot dog. Like it's that level. You can really just navigate wherever you want with no risk, which I think comes back to that whole having fun and experimenting thing that we're seeing again kind of kick off, because people that get drained and lose all their stuff, 9 times out of 10, they're the people like willing to try new things, like really eager, enthusiastic, like, oh, I'll try that. I'll try that. It's those people that allow us to keep building at the end of the day. And they're the ones that are getting wrecked. So yeah, I hope that this kind of removes a little bit of that risk and we move into a whole new possibility.
For sure. Now, is the process would be like a specific company or project would reach out to you and say, hey, I want to implement this for our community of people. Is that how it works? Or I'm just trying to figure out the flow of.
They can, if they need help implementing it, we can help them, but it is permissionless. So you can go to the website coldlink.xyz and you can get yourself an API key. They're, I think, $10. And any dev without even Web3 knowledge can integrate it into their system. We had a kid called Beast do it before we even launched. Like, those guys were very proactive. And it's just like that. But if you need support, like we'll support you in doing that.
Are you finding any others, besides Kid Called Beast, that are jumping on and utilizing your product?
Yes, we have some big integrations coming at the moment that will stretch across like a lot of the things that people touch, constantly, which is really exciting. And in terms of like encouraging people to use it, because it is such a psychological thing and it's a habit that we need to kind of bust. It doesn't matter how good your solution is or if it's better than what's there. If you're used to doing something and you're in a habit of doing that, you're just not going to change without good reason. And it's the same thing with like, I know many people will buy a ledger because they know that that's the right thing to do, and it just sits on the desk and they don't open it. And it's like that sort of thing. So in terms of encouraging people to use it and setting use cases, that's why we're releasing Ghost Machine, which is basically like this whole art project that Psych and I had done a while ago. It just never went anywhere. We didn't actually release it. It's just done and beautiful, but we had nowhere to put it. There's, it's just there. So we're like, okay, so we'll release this on Ape Chain, which, I did a poll, like Ape Chain Abstract Base, and Ape Chain won. Very strong community and lots of activity there, which is cool.
I love Ape Chain.
Yeah, it's really fun. It feels fun there. I'm in a few Ape Chain chats and I love their spaces, and yeah, it's great. Anyway, we're releasing it there. It's a super low cost, so it's $1, free for Deadfellaz holders, obviously, and utilizing Coldlink tech. So people have to like use Coldlink to get it. But yeah, super low cost, super high volume, because we want people to be able to collect and trade and just have fun. Like there's,
Yes.
and no, it's not like Deadfellaz. It's like have fun.
Now, what was okay, so pardon me because I don't remember, but I bought a bunch of them. You did an off project. It was like a part 2 of it was like different. Huh?
Dead Friends?
Maybe. Give me a second. I think it was on Ape Chain. I don't know what wallet it's in. I should have been more prepared. But it was like
Ape Chain, the only thing we've released on Ape Chain is every single year around Halloween we do the Infected collection, where we invite like different artists.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things that we do every year. I love that.
Tell me what is the name of it? I want to look it up real quick.
It's called the Infected collection, Deadfellaz Infected, and it happens every year around Halloween. And we just release it in different places. So it's been on Foundation, it's been on OpenSea, it's been we released on Ape Chain through Magic Eden, and it's been a really into just this beautiful body of work, because it's all of these different artists from the space and the community that we invite to just share their take on the Deadfellaz IP, and the things that they create are so mind blowing. It's so exciting to see what they do. So yeah, that's
Okay. So like I told you, I wasn't able to get into Deadfellaz at that time, just, because of monetary reasons, and money was elsewhere. But I jumped in and I love this one, and I bought a ton of them. I have a bunch, and I'm not prepared, but I would love to give one out on the show since you're on the show, because I have so many of them, and I would love to give one away.
That's so nice. And also this artist, Juju, is an incredible person just in the space in general. So she actually is a really big deal for West African art in Web3, and curates just the most amazing collection of artists and art from that region. So yeah, shout out to her, because she's epic.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of really, really cool art in the.
So good. Plant Daddy, like,
Can you
Vincent
see
Ghost.
this?
Yeah, we've got such a great collection. I love this. Did you
This
see
one? Yeah.
the Gremlin one as well? That's really cool.
The which one?
Gremlins. Did you get Gremlins?
No.
Gremlins in this.
Is it in here? Is it in this in this? Or something?
I don't think so. I don't see it. But yeah, really great.
But yeah, this project is really cool, and that's cool that you do these different things that are based around, the Deadfellaz project itself. I think that's really, really cool and unique, to keep the party moving, as they say, right? To keep it moving.
It's also like, so the majority of the proceeds from those, like basically all of it, goes back to the artists. So it's just kind of like a nod and an acknowledgement of the support that the community of artists have given us over the years. Because I just don't think, I mean, that's our roots, that's where we're from, it's what we're about, but it's also, we wouldn't have done or been able to do what we've done without the support of the artist community. So it's really important for us to continue to celebrate them.
Yeah, we're gonna do a giveaway, not today though. We're gonna do one, that way we can promote it a little bit and give it away on a future show. I want to know about Coldlink. So it's a business, you started a business. So how does Coldlink itself survive? How do you monetize Coldlink?
So the monetization is just inherent in the process that you create a Coldlink. So to create a Coldlink, you have to send a microtransaction tracer amount from the wallet that you're wanting to link to something, to the Coldlink wallet. And that process, in a similar way to how it works in traditional financial institutions with like PayPal or whatever, that serialized tracer amount against the fact that it's come from the wallet that is requesting the Coldlink, being acknowledged, is what creates the Coldlink. So that's how the logic works. I can't get any more technical than that because I'm not the technical founder at Psych.
No problem. That's all good.
That's so smart though. That's what you meant by it's so simple, right? Like that is such a smart idea, because the way the banks, like, I just think that's I can't like, it's just one of those things.
Like, so people that are like devs or like what want to discount what we're doing as too simple, it just works. So if it works and it's safe and it's more agnostic than everything else and it's cheaper than everything else, then it's the solution. Wow,
that just blew my mind when you said that.
Like we needed someone else to make it. Like we had it designed, like Psych designed it, and we had it designed for a long time, and we hinted at it in a roadmap in early 2022. And it was always just on the cards to create, because we were like, we need to solve this for our gaming stuff that we want to do down the line. And it got to the point where we just couldn't wait anymore. We needed it to happen. And it was like, well, no one's made it. And I was surprised no one made it, because it is so simple. But yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I can't hear you very well.
What?
Your microphone.
Okay. I was being so super professional. I had my mic down. I want to know, why would I need, or what's the purpose of me finding a Coldlink? I don't know if you had mentioned this, but why would I go on your website? It says find a Coldlink, enter a wallet address.
Just to check if you've actually created the Coldlink.
Okay. That's for the person who created the Coldlink. Excellent.
Yes. So in terms of like being able to see who's cold linked to what as a Web 2 institution with no Web 3 tech and no infrastructure or nothing. Say you own a bar and you're like, okay, so I'm going to use Rect because we're in a Rect tab. Everyone that has Rect, I'm going to give them a free drink at my bar. Now, how the hell would you do that typically? Kind of impossible, very confusing. Now you can have any holder of Rect cold link to a name on the door. And you as a venue would just receive a CSV file of all of these names that are cold linked, and then you just know who is a holder, like verify it.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So Coldlink, great. Deadfellaz, great. Music, I want to talk a little bit with you because I know you love music. I wanted to talk a little bit of health too, because you've in the most recent years have slimmed down and you've gotten healthy, you know. So actually, let's start there before we get into music, because health is important. I mean, obviously, we know we all need to be healthy as we're getting older. But what was it for you in that regard? Like, what woke you up and said, "Hey, boom, get in shape"?
So I was in LA. And I was like at the height of everything, but feeling the worst I've ever felt in my whole life. And I was like, I just can't keep going like this. Like, I cannot. And it was kind of a culmination of everything, because in the States, obviously, it's hard to I guess live amongst all of the the air and the water and the food, and everything is kind of making you feel bad, on top of like an unhealthy routine, and like, not enough sleep, not enough nutrients, like just living so wrong, like so at odds with what I needed to be able to fuel me to be my best self, but not just be my best self, like be the best mom I can be and be the best founder I can be. And just I was just lagging, like I just physically just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, oh no, I need to change. So I really radically changed. And anyone that was with me when we went to Korea Blockchain Week, I think it was like 2023 I had just started like changing everything, and I was on this super strict, like I really basically like retrained my digestive system from like the ground up, because prior to being in Web3 as well, for my third pregnancy, I was really sick. I had like a really bad illness that it nearly killed me. It was bad. But I hadn't given myself time to heal from that or get over it or anything, because I just went straight into Web3 and just continued to fuck myself up. So it was just really like stripping everything back and starting all again. And so in Korea, I didn't get to like eat all the amazing food that I typically would. I was just like, it was like broths and like,
you missed out on that good Korean barbecue.
It was so, yeah, no alcohol, no sugar, no coffee, no nothing. It was just like, yeah,
it was. Did you do this cold turkey?
Yeah, just did it.
I mean, I guess that's really the way to do it. I used to smoke cigarettes, like I want to say 16, 17 years ago. And I wasn't a heavy smoker, but I just woke up one day. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I just quit. That was it.
So for some people, the gradual, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to add this, the what's it called, like habit building or habit blocking or something like that, really works. But for me, I am a very extreme person, and I'm like all or nothing, and I have to I get like really obsessed with something and really like hyper focused on something, and for me that's the way that I have to do it. Like that's the only way. So that's what I did. But then now I'm like, I've kind of chilled a little bit on everything. So I like drink coffee. I will eat sugar now and again.
Gradually you do.
Very rarely drink, but and I don't smoke or anything. But yeah, I just feel like better than I've ever felt, basically.
Your head is clear, your focus.
Everything.
Awesome.
The stress that comes with being in this space and being a founder in this space is astronomical, to the point where I once spoke to a therapist and she was like, I have no like reference point for the level of things that you're having to deal with right now. This is crazy. And it is crazy. There's so many things that go on behind the scenes as well that like you don't talk about, and you just have to navigate and get on with. as a mother, I'm used to that. Like there is no crash out able to happen. Like you just have to keep going. And so that's kind of helped me in founder life and in health, I guess. Like
Yeah. You look awesome, and I'm glad that you made it. I'm glad that you did it and overcame, the issues that you had, with your health prior. And I think it's awesome. And I mean, just amazing to see the transformation, quite honestly.
thank you.
I was seeing it on my timeline as the years and the days are going by. So I think that's awesome.
I never planned on sharing it. I never planned on being like, like drawing attention to it. But then like attention was on it anyway. Like I would be trolled so hard. It was always a topic of conversation, whether I wanted it to be or not, as a woman on the internet that was visible on the internet. Like that was always just part of the discourse. And so I was like, I'll just own it. So I did. And I'm glad I did, because, a lot of good things has come from me being able to talk about it. Like a lot of other people have reached out and we've been able to like share ideas and inspiration. And I just think it's good to be healthy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I was going to ask you that too. Like, you must have inspired, men and women, I'm sure, to get on that health process too. Were you getting a lot of that positive feedback from your community as well and other people?
Yeah, and I still do.
That's great.
So I'm glad I did it. It's like it's changed everything, and it's given me, I think, the stamina to keep going with everything. And I would never be able to leave this space. I would never be able to like abandon what we've created so far, ever. But in terms of the energy and like the vigor of like how we're able to push, like I do feel like my health has allowed me to bring more.
And you probably have more energy and you're, more vigor and you're ready to go. Yeah. Awesome.
I recently switched roles. So I was CEO of Deadfellaz of DFC Labs, and I'm not the CEO anymore, but it's this weird, we're kind of going back to what it was in 2021, where Psych and I, like neither of us were technically the CEO, and we're just kind of running it together. And that works for us in a much better way. I'm able to get more balance. Like we're able to move in a way that's like, more beneficial to us. I do have also, there's always something, isn't there? I was diagnosed with a disease called Meniere's disease a while back, which is basically like it's a progressive inner ear thing that it will never go away, but I can navigate it. And in order to navigate it, I need to have time to like, do things that are healthy, like meditation and go walking and all of that stuff. So sharing those roles really helps me do that. But yeah, it's great. I feel great.
I love it. Hey, Hef, am I on?
Yeah, you're good.
I want to apologize. I know you have to mute my mic because I'm in this makeshift setup today. So sorry about that.
No worries.
But I'm really interested. This is my struggle. And everything you're saying right down to the meditation has been resonating a lot with me and the way I'm trying to live my life. But do you get, which is probably one of the most important things, do you manage to get 8 hours sleep a day? No. You have kids, you have all these people. No,
I don't. I like sleep is the most important thing, but my kids are 10 and under. And when I started this space, I had like a 1-year-old was the youngest. She was, still at that age. So that's the period of life that I'm in. It's just sleepless anyway. They've all kind of started sleeping, but at the same time, like the juggle of everything means that the most sleep I'll get is 7 hours. But I think that's fine for now.
That's way more than a lot of people. I sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours a night.
I'm not great. I've been trying to fix. I take my magnesium at a certain time. I have my alarm on my phone.
That's right.
Hef, this is what Hef has told me before. Okay, I'm gonna blow up his spine a little bit because I believe you got to get the right amount of sleep. I don't get it either, but I try to, even though I never do. But Hef is always like, no. He's like, anybody who's a CEO or anything with a big company, they get 3-4 hours a day tops.
It's pretty much true. If you
Yeah.
And they also die at 40 though, man.
That's the thing. I was like, I don't want to die. I want to be healthy. I want to be here for as long as I can be. So I think the grind culture that you see in startups and entrepreneurship, it's so at odds with all of that. But I think you're kind of seeing this health maxing, like longevity movement start to happen in direct opposition of that. But we do need to find a balance because it doesn't line up. Like, I guess a hope that I have for AI, which is something that we've found, is that by utilizing AI to do a lot of the mundane, menial stuff, you start to free up a lot of your time to be able to focus on your health and maybe get more sleep. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's funny. You said that you don't want to be dead, but your project is Deadfellaz. All right, I'm moving on. That's my comedic moment of the night. I want to ask you about music. I remember seeing on the timeline that you were at you were like backstage. So I think it was a Slipknot. Is that correct?
Was,
Slipknot concert? Okay. Oh man, I love Slipknot. I found out about them. I knew the song, but I didn't know who it was, and I wasn't really into like heavy metal like that, or I don't know what you call it, heavy metal. But they're awesome. They're just, those guys rip. And what really attracted me back to them was, I'm a drummer. So Max Weinberg, his kid was playing the drums for Slipknot. So that's what got me into like learning about Slipknot. And I'm like, wow, these fucking guys rock. They're legit, Yeah. So awesome concert that I actually noticed that you were at that concert. So what's your affiliation, or how did you get backstage, and what's up with music with you?
Yeah, so I was there because I was speaking to their manager about Coldlink, incidentally. So yeah, I was there for work. We were there to see Baby Metal as well. Like they're my kids' favorite band.
Did they open up for them?
They were part of the festival. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Slaughter to Prevail was there. They were really great. There was a lot of really great music that day. It was fun. But yeah, I was primarily there for work, but which I always am. But there's perks to the job. One of them being side stage at Slipknot. A really cool thing that happened there actually was this is like against the point, but it was really weird. And just how the world works. Slaughter to Prevail, they invited this 17-year-old kid that was like a Make-A-Wish Foundation wish to play on stage with them for a song. And I was right there. I was like, saw him go on stage, like watching him from backstage, and he was amazing. He really killed it. It was so awesome. And his mom and his sister were right there with me, and they were like so emotional, crying and everything. And then I thought, that's really awesome. That's really cool. I had a video of it and everything. And then like a week later, I was at a random dinner with just a woman that I know through my kids dancing. And it was just like a big table, and I was just sitting there, and Syke was next to me, and he started saying, oh, that's so weird. I think Betty was there, and he turned and showed me this woman's phone. And the mother of the guy who was on stage was at the dinner. And I was like, wow. Oh, I have a video of your son on my phone. Isn't that crazy?
That is, yeah. So
weird.
Yeah, the universe, works in different.
Power of music and how it brings people together, and like, I can't tell you the energy of. I had never been side stage to a show that large in metal. Like,
how massive was it? What was the audience?
Thousands. It was at the showgrounds in Brisbane, so literally thousands. Like,
wow, yeah, okay.
And I've been at shows for like, different genres of music, like backstage and side stage, and seen it, but the energy of a metal show is second to none. It is so crazy, like at you, and when you're there, and it's just like at you, and it's so, oh my God, there's nothing that describes it. Like, there's nothing that could match it. It is just so crazy. And the whole time I was like, this fandom, like the energy of this fandom, the enthusiasm of these people, like, why isn't that utilized too much in Web3? It's really not. Like, you kind of started to see it in the big hype thing of like 21, 22, when we had like Ozzy Osbourne and the team.
I remember that.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah.
I would like to see that come back, and just shout out to Emily and September Morning, because they're really great what they do with Web3. But yeah, I would like to see that more, because it was just epic. It was so cool.
Okay, so you go there for work. Talk about Coldlink. How did the meeting go? Like, I think that's awesome, because we're always trying to find the right, or the perfect path for music and Web3, and not so much Web3, but music and the blockchain. It's just one of those biggest things to tackle. Forget about music NFTs. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about musicians being on the blockchain, being able to sell their music, make their own money, get their own royalties for their publishing, and everyone's buying it through the blockchain, opposed to it being streamed somewhere on Spotify, so to speak. But how did the meeting go with the person that you met from Slipknot?
Yeah, I mean, it went well because I've known that person for a while. But the thing is with Coldlink is it's so the opportunity lies in fandom and acknowledgement of interaction with the ecosystem at that fan level. So like, you know, hypothetically, say I was let's use like Phantom Wallet or Solana as a chain. I could create a relationship with a music platform like SoundCloud or like Spotify or wherever, YouTube, and I could say like, okay, when this musician has their next release, we're going to token gate it just to people that have been to this concert or received this POAP or collected this song or whatever. And you could have like token gated events and listening parties and whatnot on all of those platforms without the platforms needing to integrate any Web3 tech with it. You know, they don't need to change any processes, nothing. So you can have those relationships negotiated at any level, whether it's an NFT, a project, a wallet, a chain, anything. And so being able to acknowledge your fandom at any level based on any activity that they take or any collecting that they do or any support that they do is a really great thing, because it means that all of a sudden you have like new data to work with. You're able to like acknowledge people in a way that they couldn't before. So now, for example, say they had a show and they have a collection that's like super fan, you know, whatever, that you could use that. You could cold link that NFT or wallet or wherever you've got on chain to, you know, show that you're a collector of this nature. You could cold link to just a ticket tech number or a ticket master number that's issued without anything else. And then, you know, the band knows who to reward and where to reward them. In any way. It could be anything. It could be their merch store, it could be VIP, it could be exclusive access to stuff. And prior to this, you would have had to integrate a lot of different tech, change the processes, have Web3 dev teams, all of that stuff.
Just to figure it out.
Yeah, live music and festivals and publishing and all of that. It's getting more and more challenging for people in digital spaces, and people just don't have those. Well, I guess they do have the budgets to some extent, but some of them don't, you know. So it's allowing people to do more with less, and I guess bands to have like true, more granular ownership over their fandom and be able to have a different connection with them, which I think is what we hypothesized that back in 21, right? Like that's what everybody wanted. But obviously the tech hurdles that existed and the slowness and kind of difficulties in actually shifting those systems stopped it all, in my opinion. But now we've got this solution that kind of circumvents all of that. So I'm hoping that it starts to change things. You're not going to see it immediately because it is, again, it's a habit. It's like a thing that has to, you know, gradually happen. But the tech is there, the solution is there, and we're slowly doing our thing.
I think that's great. We talk about it a lot on our show too, like with platforms where musicians can have their own profile and then they can give XP or whatever you want to call it, you know, like you said, you know, you bought a ticket to the show, you came to the show, we got proof of the show that you're here, right? And that they're able
to everything. That could be like, so this person's gained like 200 XP.
Right.
They're playing a random game in Fortnite. They could be rewarded there. They're going to like, I don't know, Foot Locker. They could be rewarded there. Like there's an infinite amount of things that could happen.
Let me ask you this. I'm a musician and I have 50 copies. We were talking about vinyl. I got 50 copies of a 45, right? And it's a picture disc of a Deadfellaz. I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there, right? Now, if you if you came to 2 of my shows and you bought 1 CD or you bought 1 album's worth of whatever music, you're gonna be eligible to be on the whitelist for this record. Is this something that Coldlink provides? Is that if I'm understanding correctly?
Yeah, so if you're able to have the purchase of those items that, are prerequisites to this whitelist, if you're able to have those verified on chain somehow, or if you're given some kind of POAP or anything like that, any on-chain history or collection or action can be acknowledged in any setting, whether it's Web3 or Web2, anywhere.
Now, do we do that on our own, or does Coldlink support us?
This is the thing. So companies have the ability, if you have a developer of any level, is able to integrate the API and do that for themselves. However, if you don't have that, that is a tool that we are releasing soon that basically just allows you to populate allow lists and all of that sort of thing really easily. Another thing is there's a lot of artists in the space that are digital that have physical
Yes.
copies, and they want to send them to their collectors. Their collectors don't want to dox. They don't want to link their wallet address with their home address or a PO box or anything like that. But now, because of the air gapped nature and the security of Coldlink, you can cold link your wallet to anything. So you can cold link to a PO box without any KYC or anything like that. And the artist just has a list of PO boxes or addresses that they know that they can send to their collectors, and it's verified. It's verified ownership. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but there is no security risk and there's no KYC. So it's a solution that really stretches across a lot of different things, that being a really good use case.
That's great. And the lists, sorry, Cookie, let me just ask this and then I'll let you jump in. You know me, I'm always yapping. Oh, I lost my train of thought, but
in terms of like keeping that cold link live, though, maybe this was what you wanted to ask. They are ephemeral, so you can cold link to something for a day or like a year. So if you just, claiming something, you can create it for a day and it's gone afterwards. It's just burnt.
Okay. I wanted to ask you about auto population. So, like, as the artist, and I put this particular thing out like we were talking about, right? Let's, whatever the deal is, does Coldlink auto populate to me so I know who bought everything, or do I do that manually? How do I find out who the community members are that actually went to the concert, bought the ticket, and bought my CD or bought my album?
If they want to collect something, they would have to cold link something. But you can pull, because it's all based on Block Explorer, so you can pull information from anything. If they're cold linking through the public API, it's all there for you to see. If there's also the ability to create private API buckets for companies that don't want to share that information across anywhere else. And this is really good for private blockchains. So the Aura blockchain, for example, that a lot of the luxury brands use, that's like a closed system. They're not going to want to share the information to those links. They don't want them visible or whatever. So you can have something cold linked privately into your ecosystem. So only you can see that information. No one else can pull from that. But there's a solution to everything. It's so malleable that the limitations of it we haven't really found any yet. So
I like it. Cookie. Okay. I jumped over you. So go ahead, Cookie. Oh, hold on. I'm in control now. I'm in control of your mic.
No, this is so cool. I got to tell you, I really can't wait I just want to go to the site after the show and mess around with it. I've been building some stuff for the people that dig my music, and I get to see so many different cool ways to utilize this tech. And I'm curious of the flow of so I know I can go to the site right now, and I love the way you verify with the transaction. That's really just so smart. I'm still dining out on that idea. I think it's just so great. And so now as the guy who is or the person who is creating the cold link to gather the data from their collectors or from their participants, is the flow similar to the same person that has to cold link to verify their stuff? Is it like a similar process? I know the technology to implement it, that's different. But in other words, is the first step I just go there and then I'm just curious of how the flow is.
Yeah, it depends what you're using it for, but it's basically like API get calls. So it's very simple, and you don't need to be like have any special level of dev knowledge. Like if you're a dev, you'll know how it works and you'll be able to see that quite simply. But for someone like myself, I'm not a dev. So if I was an artist and I wanted to use this, I would be waiting for the tool that we're releasing for that, basically simplifies all that without the need for any special dev work or anything like that. Like you'll be able to just use this to get your allow list populated or your shipping list populated, or identify this for that or whatever. But it allows you to really target like cross-chain users, so user acquisition for different platforms and different chains and games and all of those things. You can like have different I guess interactions where you're like, okay, we're going to have like the top 10% of Ronin players against like the top 10% of gamers on Abstract, and we want to like put you head to head on something. And those things can be acknowledged easily now without risk, which is really fun. It just pulls the walls off everything. Like I think obviously there's a lot of really cool stuff being built for a lot of good reason, but the ease of navigating all of that is too hard without this. And now it's like world's your oyster,
For sure.
Like we've added we haven't announced this yet, but iOS support and a bunch of other stuff. So like being able to acknowledge and reward within iOS apps is again something that like that was a hurdle for a lot of people, and now it's not.
I think that's great. Is there any competition? Does Coldlink have any competition right now? Is there any other product that's out on the market that's doing similar stuff? Is there any comparison anywhere?
We released a comparison, illustrate like a chart basically, to showcase like what Coldlink can do and put it against what other solutions can do. So like Warm and Delegate and like the Shadows thing that's at Yuga, all of those things are really great. Like they're great for what they do, but they don't do what Coldlink does. And they're not wallet agnostic, they're not chain agnostic, they're not they're not as air gapped, they're not as secure. That there's all of these things that nobody else can do. So in terms of competition, the competition is, and the challenge is getting people to use it.
Yeah.
Not like no one else is doing this. No one else has done this. It is a different product completely. It does do a similar thing to what some companies do in a different way. And I think that, there's benefit to those products still for the people that want to use them. That's really cool. But Coldlink is just
much better.
Yeah.
Coldlink is much better, everybody. So if you're listening to this, check out Coldlink before you check anything else out, because you probably won't want to use anything else after you mess with Coldlink. I think this has been an awesome show and it's been refreshing. I'm glad we covered a lot of topics in a short amount of time, but I think it was perfect. We hit them right in the center, and I think all of this stuff is awesome what you guys are doing over there, and glad that you're still with Deadfellaz, and still it's still a thing, it's still a project, and it's still there, and hopefully one day it does have that animation series or anything cool. I mean, even I could see little kids how they have those Halloween costumes with those old school like plastic masks. I could see like in a little kid in a Deadfellaz outfit. I could totally see it. I could see coloring book, pajamas, sheets.
To the animation thing, like we literally were creating a movie with Fox for Deadfellaz, and with the strikes and everything that happened in Hollywood, like all of the new IPs got dropped. It was just like you get so close and then you get pulled back, and that's show business, so you pivot and keep going somewhere else, and that's what we've been doing. So all of that is inevitable to me. It's already there,
part of it. Makes you stronger. You keep building and keep going through. I mean, you're right. It did happen. There was other projects, a couple other projects too. I don't want to mention because I'm a little sour, but other project also that was supposed to have a children's animated series with time Time
We were
Studios.
given. We were actually offered that deal. And
When
I
Keith
said
Grossman
no.
was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No
Keith
shade.
Grossman was
No
there.
shade.
No shade, no shade. Yeah, and then he left, and then shit hits the fan, like the writer strike and all that stuff. But I'm glad to see you guys are doing it. Coldlink is really cool. Me and Cookie are going to definitely check this out. This is, to really really use it and mess with. I think that's great. The things that you guys are doing, and I can only see you guys building. Before we get out of here, first of all, real quick, let everybody know the future of DFC and the future of Coldlink. And if there's anything that you want to plug, websites, anything.
Okay. So the future of DFC is we are building a gargantuan ecosystem of pop culture. So it's just going to be, but it's back in its grimy, gritty, punky roots. That's kind of what we're leaning into. So you will see a lot of content, you will see a lot of gaming, a lot of high quality gaming. So the things we're releasing are not low effort. They are incredible, really, really, really great. So fun, so addictive. So you'll see a lot of stuff like that. And then in terms of Coldlink, it's just the glue to Web3. At the end of the day, it's like what will facilitate fun, joyful, exciting things to continue happening without the risk. Actually engaging people in Web3 in a meaningful way at all levels, and bridging Web3 and Web2 in a way that hasn't been possible before. So we're excited to just see more adoption of that and see where it goes. And very excited. I can't hear.
Again, I turned my mic down because I don't want to echo either. Sorry about that. And thank you. That's twice of my professionalism on the show tonight. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for tuning into Jus Riffin. We do it every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, powered by Rug Radio. Tonight we had Betty from Deadfellaz and Coldlink on the show. We talked music, we talked Deadfellaz, we talked Coldlink. We talked a lot of stuff. She's OG in the space. And so happy to have you on the show with us tonight, Betty. Thank you again. Cookie Rabinowitz, my co-host, thank you. And everybody else that's been in the audience listening, thank you also. Make sure you hit up Coldlink, go check them out, and go check out Deadfellaz. And next week we have a community jam. So if anybody wants to come through and just hang out with us, you're more than welcome. We do it the last Tuesday of every month. We'll see you next week. Peace out, everybody. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Jus Riffin. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Jus Riffin. Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology. Jus Riffin. Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week. Jus Riffin. Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Jus Riffin.